The phone rang so loudly it made Mia jump. She was in her tiny apartment eating a bowl of cereal when the screen lit up with an unknown number. Her heart raced. She didn't usually answer strange calls, but something told her to pick it up. Maybe it was FZM. The phone kept buzzing, like it was begging her to listen. Before we begin the story, comment below where you're watching from. Enjoy the story. Please subscribe to my channel for more sweet videos like this. Let the story continue. Hello, Mia said, her voice shaky. Miss Mia Carter? A man's voice asked. It was deep, smooth, and way too friendly. Congratulations! You've been selected for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I'm offering you a chance to invest in a business that'll make you rich beyond your dreams. Mia froze. Her spoon clattered into the bowl. The man kept talking, fast and slick, promising her millions if she sent him just a few $1,000s. Her stomach twisted. This had to be a scam. She'd heard stories about people like this smooth talkers who tricked you into giving away your money. But then he said something that made her blood run cold. I know everything about you, Mia. Your job at the coffee shop, your dreams of being an artist, even the little blue notebook where you write your secrets. Mia's breath caught in her throat. How did he know about her notebook? She kept it hidden under her mattress. Her hands shook as she gripped the phone. Who are you? She whispered. The man laughed softly and creepily. Just someone who wants to help you, Mia. Send me the money, and I'll prove I'm real. Don't, and you'll regret it forever. The line went dead. Mia stared at the phone, her heart pounding so hard she thought it might burst. Who was this guy? How did he know so much about her? And why did his voice sound so familiar? She sank onto the couch, her mind spinning. She thought he was a scammer, but what if he wasn't? What if he were someone important, someone who could change her life? The thought scared her as much as it excited her. She had to find out who he was before it was too late. Mia's life hadn't always been like this, full of worry and mystery. Just a few weeks ago, she was a regular 22-year-old working at Brood Awakening, a cozy coffee shop in her small town of Willow Creek. She spent her days steaming milk, pouring lattes, and sketching in her little blue notebook during breaks. Art was her dream, but dreams didn't pay the bills. Her apartment was so tiny she could touch both walls if she stretched her arms out, and her bank account had exactly 127.43. Every day felt the same boring, stuck, like she was waiting for something big to happen. But Mia had a secret. She wasn't just a barista, she was a dreamer, with a heart full of hope. In her notebook, she wrote stories about faraway places, painted pictures of cities she'd never seen, and dreamed of a day when her art would hang in galleries. Her friends teased her, saying she was too trusting, too quick to believe in happy endings. Mia, you're gonna get scammed one day, her best friend, Lily, always said. Mia just laughed it off. She wanted to believe the world was full of good people. That's why the phone call shook her so much. It wasn't just the man's creepy words or the way he knew about her notebook. It was the tiny spark of hope he'd planted in her chest. What if he was telling the truth? What if this was her big break? She shook her head, trying to push the thought away. He's a scammer, she told herself. Don't be stupid, Mia. But the questions wouldn't stop. How did he know so much about her? And why did his voice sound like she'd heard it before, maybe in a dream or a memory? She grabbed her notebook from under the mattress and flipped through it, looking for clues. Every page was filled with her messy handwriting and colorful sketches, castles, stars, a man with kind eyes she'd drawn over and over. She didn't know why she kept drawing him. He wasn't real, just a face from her imagination. Or was he? Mia's phone buzzed again, snapping her out of her thoughts. It was a text from the same number. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Meet me at the old clock tower tomorrow at 7 p.m. Bring 50. I'll show you I'm real. Don't tell anyone, Mia. This is your only chance. Her heart stopped. $5,000? She didn't have that kind of money. And the clock tower? It was in the creepy part of town, abandoned and falling apart. Nobody went there unless they were looking for trouble. Mia's first thought was to call the police, but something stopped her. What if this were real? What if this man could make her dreams come true? She hated herself for even thinking it, but the spark of hope was growing, like a tiny flame she couldn't put out. She paced her apartment, her mind racing. She could ignore the text, block the number, and pretend this never happened. Or she could go to the clock tower and find out who this man was. Both choices scared her, but doing nothing felt worse. She had to know the truth, even if it broke her. The next day at work, Mia was a mess. She spilled coffee on a customer, burned her hand on the espresso machine, and forgot orders. Lily noticed right away. "What's wrong with you?" she asked, pulling Mia into the back room. "You look like you saw a ghost." Mia wanted to tell her everything, but the man's warning echoed. "Don't tell anyone," she forced a smile. "Just tired," she lied. Lily didn't buy it, but she let it go. Mia felt awful keeping secrets from her best friend, but she didn't have a choice. Not yet. All day, she thought about the clock tower. She didn't have 50, but maybe she didn't need it. Maybe she could just go, see who this guy was, and figure out if he was lying. The idea made her stomach flip, but it also made her feel alive, like she was part of something bigger than her boring life. After her shift, Mia went home and dug through her closet. She found an old pepper spray can that her mom had given her years ago. It was probably expired, but it made her feel braver. She stuffed it in her pocket, grabbed her jacket, and headed out. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange and pink. Willow Creek looked peaceful, but Mia's heart was pounding like a drum. The clock tower was a mile away, in a part of town where streetlights flickered and weeds grew through cracked sidewalks. As Mia walked, she kept looking over her shoulder, sure someone was following her. Every shadow made her jump. She gripped the pepper spray so tightly her knuckles turned white. When she reached the clock tower, it loomed over her like a giant from a scary story. The bricks were crumbling, and the clock face was stuck at 3:17, its hands frozen for years. The air smelled like rust and damp leaves. Mia checked her phone. 6:55 p.m., 5 minutes to go. She hid behind a broken wall, her heart racing. What was she doing here? This was crazy. She should run home, lock the door, and forget this ever happened. But that spark of hope kept her rooted to the spot. She had to know who this man was. She had to know if he was a scammer or something else. At exactly 7:00, a car pulled up. It wasn't what Mia expected. She thought a scammer would drive something flashy, like a red sports car. But this was a beat-up old truck, rusted and dented. The door creaked open, and a man stepped out. He was tall, wearing a worn jacket and a baseball cap pulled low over his eyes. Mia couldn't see his face, but something about him felt familiar, like she'd seen him before, maybe in a crowd or a dream. He stood by the clock tower looking around. Mia held her breath, her finger on the pepper spray. Was this the guy? Was he dangerous? She wanted to run, but her feet wouldn't move. Then he did something that made her heart stop. He pulled out a phone and dialed a number. A second later, Mia's phone buzzed in her pocket. She gasped, fumbling to silence it, but it was too late. The man's head snapped toward her hiding spot. "Mia?" he called, his voice the same smooth, deep one from the phone call. "I know you're there. Come out. I'm not going to hurt you." Mia's mind screamed at her to run, but her body didn't listen. She stepped out from behind the wall, her legs shaking. The man took off his cap, and for the first time, she saw his face. Her breath caught in her throat. He looked just like the man from her sketches, the one with kind eyes she'd drawn over and over in her notebook. But that was impossible. He wasn't real. He couldn't be. "Who are you?" Mia whispered, her voice barely audible. The man smiled, but it wasn't creepy like she expected. It was warm, almost sad. "I'm someone who's been watching you for a long time, Mia," he said. "And I'm here to change your life." Before she could say anything, headlights flashed in the distance. Another car was coming fast. The man's smile vanished. "We don't have much time," he said, his voice urgent. "Get in the truck. Now." Mia's heart pounded. This was her last chance to run. But as the other car got closer, she saw something that made her blood run cold. The driver was holding a gun. Mia's heart slammed against her chest as the car sped closer, its headlights slicing through the dark. The man with the kind eyes grabbed her arm. "Mia, now!" he shouted, pulling her toward the rusty truck. She stumbled, her mind a blur. The gun in the other driver's hand glinted under the streetlights, and her legs moved before she could think. She dove into the truck's passenger seat, slamming the door as the man jumped behind the wheel. The engine roared to life, coughing and sputtering like it might die any second. "Hold on!" the man yelled. He floored the gas, and the truck lurched forward, tires screeching. Mia gripped the seat, her breath coming in short gasps. The other car was right behind them, so close she could see the driver's face, a man with a scar across his cheek. His eyes locked on them like a hunter. "Who's that? Why is he chasing us?" Mia screamed, her voice shaking. "No time to explain," the man said, swerving around a corner. The truck tilted, and Mia's shoulder slammed into the door. "Just trust me." "Trust you?" Mia's head spun. "I don't even know your name. You could be a scammer or worse." But even as she said it, she wasn't sure. His face, those eyes, they were the same ones from her sketches. How could that be? And why did she feel like she'd known him forever even though they'd just met? The man glanced at her, his jaw tight. "My name's Eli," he said. "And I'm not what you think. But if we don't lose this guy, we're both in big trouble." Mia wanted to ask a million questions, but the car behind them was gaining. It rammed the back of the truck, and Mia yelped as her head jerked forward. Eli cursed under his breath, yanking the wheel to dodge another hit. The truck skidded onto a narrow street, weaving through the abandoned part of Willow Creek. Old buildings loomed like ghosts, their broken windows watching the chase. Mia's mind raced. Just yesterday, she was pouring coffee and dreaming of art galleries. Now she was in a beat-up truck, running from a man with a gun, with a stranger who knew too much about her. She thought Eli was a scammer, but scammers didn't risk their lives like this, did they? Her hand tightened around the pepper spray in her pocket. She didn't know if she could trust him, but right now, he was her only way out. The chase wasn't the first time Mia's life had felt like a roller coaster. Growing up in Willow Creek, she'd always been the girl with big dreams and bad luck. Her mom worked 2 jobs to keep them afloat, and Mia learned early that money was hard to come by. When she was 9, she started drawing to escape pictures of places where she could be free, where life wasn't so heavy. That's when the man with kind eyes first appeared in her sketches. She didn't know why she drew him, but he felt like a friend, someone who'd show up when she needed him most. Now, here he was, Eli, real, driving like a maniac to save her from a guy with a gun. It didn't make sense, but Mia didn't have time to figure it out. The truck bounced over a pothole, and she grabbed the dashboard to steady herself. "Where are we going?" she asked, her voice high with panic. "Somewhere safe," Eli said, his eyes flicking to the rearview mirror. "If we can lose him." The car behind them was relentless, its engine roaring like an angry beast. Mia's stomach twisted as she saw the scarred man lean out of his window, the gun in his hand. "He's gonna shoot," she screamed. Eli swerved just as a loud crack split the air. The truck's back window shattered, glass spraying everywhere. Mia ducked, covering her head. "Stay down," Eli shouted, pushing her toward the floor. He yanked the wheel again, turning into an alley so narrow the truck's sides scraped the walls. Sparks flew, and Mia's heart felt like it would explode. The alley was a dead end. Mia's blood ran cold as she saw the brick wall ahead. "Eli!" she yelled. "We're trapped!" But Eli didn't slow down. He reached under the seat, pulled out a small remote, and pressed a button. The wall in front of them rumbled and slid open, revealing a dark tunnel. Mia's jaw dropped. "What the?" "Hold on," Eli said again, and the truck plunged into the tunnel. The wall slammed shut behind them, cutting off the other car's path. Darkness swallowed them, the only light coming from the truck's dim headlights. Mia's ears rang, her body trembling from the adrenaline. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The tunnel was quiet except for the hum of the engine and Mia's ragged breathing. She sat up slowly, brushing glass off her jacket. Her mind was a storm of questions, but one burned brighter than the rest. "Who are you?" she asked, staring at Eli. He kept his eyes on the tunnel, his hands tight on the wheel. "I told you. I'm Eli, and I'm here to help you." "Help me?" Mia's voice cracked. "You almost got me killed. And that tunnel, what is this place? How did you know about it?" Eli's face softened, but he didn't answer right away. Finally, he said, "I know this is a lot, Mia, but I've been watching you for years. Not in a creepy way," he added quickly, seeing her eyes widen. "I've been protecting you, waiting for the right time to show you who I am." Mia's skin prickled. "Protecting me? From what? And why me?" Eli hesitated, like he was choosing his words carefully. "You're special, Mia, more special than you know. And there are people like the guy chasing us who don't want you to find out why." His words sent a chill down her spine. She wanted to laugh, to call him crazy, but something in his voice made her believe him, or at least, want to believe him. She thought back to the phone call, the way he knew about her notebook, her dreams, and now this secret tunnels, car chases, a man who looked like her sketches come to life. It was too much to process. The tunnel opened into a wide underground garage, lit by flickering fluorescent lights. Eli parked the truck and turned to her. "We're safe here, for now." Mia's hands shook as she unbuckled her seatbelt. "Safe? I don't even know what's happening. You need to tell me everything, Eli. Right now." He nodded, but his eyes were distant, like he was listening for something. "I will. But first, we need to move. They'll find us if we stay too long." "Who's they?" Mia demanded, her voice rising. "The guy with the gun? Who else is after us?" Eli opened his mouth to answer, but a loud clang echoed through the garage. Mia froze. Footsteps Shivi, deliberate, were coming closer. Eli's face hardened. He grabbed her hand, pulling her out of the truck. "Run," he whispered. They sprinted toward a metal door at the far end of the garage. Mia's pulse pounded in her ears. The footsteps were getting louder, faster. She glanced back and saw shadows moving in the dim light too, maybe 3 people. One of them shouted, "There they are!" Eli shoved the door open, and they stumbled into a dark hallway. He slammed the door behind them and jammed a metal bar through the handle. "That won't hold them long," he said, breathing hard. "Come on." Mia's legs burned as they ran, the hallway twisting and turning like a maze. Her mind was screaming at her to stop, to demand answers, but fear kept her moving. Eli led her to a small room with concrete walls and a single light bulb hanging from the ceiling. He locked the door and leaned against it, catching his breath. "Okay," Mia said, her voice trembling but firm. "No more running until you tell me what's going on. Who are you? And why is this happening to me?" Eli looked at her, his eyes full of something she couldn't read. Guilt, maybe, or sadness. "You're right," he said. "You deserve the truth. But it's not simple, Mia. And once you know, there's no going back." She crossed her arms, trying to look braver than she felt. "Tell me anyway." He took a deep breath. "I'm not just some guy, Mia. I'm wealthy. Very wealthy. But I've been hiding it, living like this." He gestured at his worn jacket and the dingy room. "Because there are people who want what I have. And you're part of it." Mia's mouth went dry. "Part of what? Your money?" Eli shook his head. "Not just money. Something bigger. Something you've had all along, even if you didn't know it." Before he could say more, the door rattled. Someone was trying to break in. Mia's heart leapt into her throat. Eli grabbed her hand again, his grip tight. "We're out of time," he said. "There's a way out, but you have to trust me." The door buckled, metal screeching. Mia's eyes darted between Eli and the door. Trust him? She barely knew him. But as the door began to give way, she saw the scarred man from the car outside, his gun raised. Her choice was made for her. Okay, she whispered. Let's go. Eli pulled her toward a hidden panel in the wall. It slid open, revealing a narrow staircase leading down into darkness. As they stepped inside, the door behind them burst open, and the scarred man's voice echoed through the room. You can't hide forever, Eli. And you, girl, you're gonna wish you never met him. The panel slammed shut, plunging them into blackness. The staircase seemed to go on forever, spiraling down into a darkness so thick Mia could barely see her own hands. Her sneakers slapped against the cold stone steps, each sound echoing like a heartbeat. Eli's hand was tight around hers, pulling her forward as the shouts of the scarred man faded above them. Mia's chest burned from running, but fear kept her moving. Who were those people? Why were they after her? And what did Eli mean when he said she was part of something bigger? Keep going, Eli whispered, his voice steady despite the chaos. We're almost there. Almost where? Mia panted, her legs aching. You keep saying that, but I still don't know what's happening. I'll explain soon, Eli said. I promise. Just trust me a little longer. Mia wanted to argue, but the memory of the scarred man's gun flashed in her mind. She thought Eli was a scammer when he first called her, but now she wasn't sure what he was. A liar? A hero? Or something else entirely? His face, those kind eyes from her sketches, kept her from pulling away. She didn't trust him completely, but she didn't want to face the darkness alone. The staircase finally ended, opening into a wide, dimly lit room. Mia blinked, her eyes adjusting to the faint glow of lanterns hung on the walls. The room was like something out of a movie. Stone walls covered in strange carvings, a dusty table piled with maps and old books, and a metal door on the far side. It smelled like earth and secrets. Mia's skin prickled. This wasn't just a hideout. This was a place where things were hidden, big things. Eli let go of her hand and locked the door behind them. We're safe here, he said, catching his breath. They won't find us for a while. Mia crossed her arms, her heart still racing. Okay, Eli. No more running. No more excuses. Tell me the truth. Who are you? Why are people chasing us? And what's this something bigger you keep talking about? Eli ran a hand through his hair, looking tired but determined. He gestured to the table. Sit. This is gonna take a while. Mia hesitated, then pulled out a creaky chair and sat down. Her hands were still shaking, but she forced herself to stay calm. She needed answers, and she wasn't leaving until she got them. Eli sat across from her, his eyes searching her face. First, I'm sorry for dragging you into this, he said. I wanted to tell you everything from the start, but it wasn't safe. Not with them watching. Them? Mia asked. The scarred guy? Who is he? Eli's jaw tightened. His name's Victor. He works for someone powerful, someone who's been after me for years. They want what I have, and now they think you're the key to getting it. Mia's stomach twisted. Me? I'm nobody. I'm just a barista who draws pictures. Why would anyone think I'm a key to anything? Eli leaned forward, his voice low. Because you're not just a barista, Mia. You've got something inside you, something rare. I saw it the first time I met you. Mia's breath caught. Met me? We just met yesterday at the clock tower. Eli shook his head, a small smile tugging at his lips. No, Mia, we met a long time ago. You were just a kid. You don't remember, but I do. Her mind spun. A memory flickered blurry, like a dream. A kind man bought her a hot chocolate at the coffee shop when she was 9, telling her to keep drawing. She'd been sitting alone, sketching in her notebook, sad because her mom was working late again. The man had looked at her drawings and said, These are special, Mia. Never stop. She'd never seen him again, until now. Was that Eli? Was that you? She whispered, her voice trembling. At the coffee shop, years ago? Eli nodded. I was passing through Willow Creek, hiding from Victor and his boss. I saw you drawing, and I knew you were different. Your sketches, they weren't just pictures. They were like windows to something bigger. Mia's heart pounded. She pulled her little blue notebook from her jacket pocket and flipped it open. There he was, the man with kind eyes, drawn over and over. "You mean these?" she asked, holding up a sketch. "I don't even know why I drew you. You just showed up in my head." Eli's eyes softened. "That's part of it, Mia. You don't just draw what you see. You draw what's true, what's hidden. And that's why they're after you." Mia stared at him, her mind racing. This was crazy. She wasn't special. She was just a girl with a pencil and too many dreams. But the way Eli looked at her, the way he talked about her sketches, it made her wonder. What if he was right? What if her drawings were more than just art? "Okay," she said slowly. "Let's say I believe you. What do they want? What's this something bigger?" Eli stood and walked to the table, picking up an old, leather-bound book. He opened it to a page with a drawing that made Mia's breath catch. It was a sketch of a glowing stone, surrounded by symbols she didn't understand. The stone looked alive, like it was pulsing with light. "This," Eli said, pointing to the drawing, "it's called the Starstone. It's not just a rock. It's power. The kind of power that can change the world. And you, Mia, your drawings, are connected to it." Mia laughed, but it came out nervous. "A magic rock? Come on, Eli. That's ridiculous." "It's not magic," Eli said, his voice serious. "It's something older, something we don't fully understand. I've spent years protecting it, keeping it hidden. But Victor's boss thinks you can find it. That's why they're after you." Mia's head hurt. This was too much. Secret stones? Hidden powers? She thought Eli was a scammer, but now he was talking like he was some kind of secret agent. And yet, she couldn't shake the feeling that he was telling the truth. Her drawings had always felt different, like they came from somewhere deep inside her, somewhere she didn't understand. "Why me?" she asked, her voice small. "Why not someone else?" Eli sat back down, his eyes locked on hers. "Because you're the only one who can see it, Mia. Your drawings, they're like a map. I've been watching you, waiting for you to draw the Starstone, and a few weeks ago, you did." Mia's blood ran cold. She flipped through her notebook, her hands trembling. There it was, a sketch she'd done late one night, half asleep. A glowing stone, just like the one in Eli's book. She hadn't thought anything of it at the time. It was just another weird drawing. But now, looking at it, she felt a chill. "I didn't know," she whispered. "I just drew it." Eli nodded. "I know. That's why I called you. I needed to warn you, to protect you. But Victor must have been listening. He knew I'd reach out to you." Mia's mind flashed back to the phone, call the smooth voice, the creepy promises. She'd thought it was a scam, but it was so much more. Her whole life felt like a lie now. She wasn't just a barista. She was… what? A key to some ancient secret? It was too big, too scary. She stood, pacing the room. "So, what now? We just hide here forever? What about my life? My job? My friends?" Eli's face darkened. "Your old life. It's not safe anymore, Mia. Not until we stop Victor and his boss. But I promise, I'll keep you safe. And when this is over, you'll have everything you ever dreamed of." Mia's heart twisted. Her dreams art galleries. A life full of color and freedom felt so far away now. But Eli's words lit a tiny spark of hope. What if he was telling the truth? What if he were rich, like he said, and could make her dreams come true? She hated herself for hoping, but she couldn't help it. Before she could say anything, a low rumble shook the room. Dust fell from the ceiling, and Mia's stomach dropped. "What was that?" she asked, her voice trembling. Eli's eyes widened. He grabbed her arm and pulled her toward the metal door on the far side. "They found us," he said. "We have to move." Mia's heart raced. "How? You said we were safe here." "I was wrong," Eli said, his voice grim. He yanked the door open, revealing a tunnel lined with flickering lights. "Run, Mia. Don't look back." They sprinted into the tunnel, the rumble growing louder behind them. Mia's mind was a storm of fear and questions. Was Eli telling the truth about the Starstone? Was she really special? And if he was so rich, why was he living like this? Running and hiding. The tunnel shook, and a deafening boom echoed behind them. Mia glanced back, just for a second, and saw a cloud of dust and debris rushing toward them. Victor's men had blown through the door. They were coming. Eli pulled her around a corner, and they stumbled into a small chamber with a ladder leading up. "Climb!" he shouted, pushing her toward it. Mia grabbed the rungs, her hands slipping on the cold metal. She climbed as fast as she could, Eli right behind her. The ladder led to a hatch, and she shoved it open, crawling out into a dark, empty warehouse. Moonlight streamed through broken windows, casting shadows on the floor. Eli climbed out and slammed the hatch shut, bolting it with a heavy lock. "That'll slow them down," he said, breathing hard, but not for long. Mia's legs wobbled as she stood. "Where are we?" she asked, looking around. The warehouse was huge, filled with crates and old machinery. It smelled like oil and rust. "An old factory," Eli said. "One of my safe spots. We can rest here, but we need to plan our next move." Mia's chest tightened. "Plan? Eli, I don't even know what's happening. You keep saying you'll explain, but every time we just run again." Eli turned to her, his face serious. "I know it's hard, Mia, but you're stronger than you think. You've been drawing the truth your whole life. Now, you just have to live it." His words hit her like a punch. She wanted to scream, to cry, to wake up from this nightmare. But deep down, she felt something shift. Maybe he was right. Maybe she was stronger than she thought. Before she could respond, a loud crash came from the other side of the warehouse. Footsteps echoed, and a voice, Victor Scutt, through the silence. "Eli, you can't run forever. Give us the girl, and maybe I'll let you live." Mia's blood froze. Eli grabbed her hand, his eyes blazing with determination. "Stay close," he whispered. "We're not done yet." He pulled her behind a stack of crates, and they crouched in the shadows. Mia's heart pounded as Victor's footsteps got closer. She could hear him muttering to his men, their voices sharp and angry. They were searching the warehouse, tearing through crates and kicking over boxes. Mia's eyes darted to Eli. He was scanning the room, looking for a way out. But there was something else in his expression, something like fear. For the first time, Mia realized he might not have all the answers. He was rich, maybe powerful, but he was scared too. She tightened her grip on her notebook, the one thing that had always made sense. If her drawings were a map, like Eli said, maybe they could help. She flipped it open, her hands shaking, and looked at the sketch of the Starstone. There was something new in the drawing, a faint outline of a door, hidden in the stone's glow. She hadn't noticed it before. "Eli," she whispered, showing him the page. "Look, is this real?" His eyes widened. "Mia, you're a genius. That's the way out." He pointed to a corner of the warehouse, where a rusted metal door was barely visible behind a pile of crates. It looked just like the one in her drawing. Mia's heart leapt. Maybe she was special. Maybe her drawings really were the key. But before they could move, a shadow loomed over them. Victor stood there, his scarred face twisted in a grin. His gun pointed straight at Mia's heart. "Got you," he said, his voice dripping with triumph. Mia's heart stopped as Victor's gun gleamed in the dim warehouse light. His scarred face twisted into a cruel smile, and his eyes locked on her like she was a prize. "You've caused me a lot of trouble, girl," he growled, "but it's over now. Hand over the notebook." Mia clutched her little blue notebook to her chest, her hands trembling. The sketch of the Starstone and the mysterious door she'd just noticed was inside. She didn't know why it mattered so much, but if Victor wanted it, it had to be important. She glanced at Eli, who was crouched beside her, his face tense but calm. He gave her a tiny nod, like he was saying, "Stay strong." "Leave her alone, Victor," Eli said, his voice steady. "She doesn't know anything. This is between you and me." Victor laughed, a harsh, ugly sound. Oh, Eli, you're so predictable. Hiding behind your secrets, playing the hero, but you can't protect her forever. My boss wants that stone, and she's the key. He waved the gun at Mia. Give me the notebook, or I'll shoot. Mia's throat tightened. She thought Eli was a scammer when this all started, but now she was caught in a deadly game she didn't understand. Her drawings, her dreams, her whole life, they were all tangled up in this moment. She wanted to run, to hide, to wake up, and find this was just a bad dream. But Victor's gun was real, and so was the fear in her chest. Eli shifted slightly, his hand brushing hers. Don't give it to him, he whispered, so low only she could hear. We're close, Mia. Trust the drawing. Mia's eyes flicked to the rusted metal door in the corner of the warehouse, half hidden behind crates. It matched the door in her sketch, the one glowing in the starstone's light. Could it be a way out? Her heart raced. She had to make a choice: give Victor the notebook and hope he'd let them go, or trust Eli and risk everything. Victor took a step closer, his gun steady. I'm not asking again, he said, his voice cold. Notebook, now. Mia's mind screamed at her to obey, but something deeper, a spark of courage, stopped her. She thought of her drawings, the way they'd always felt like more than just pictures. If Eli was right, if her sketches were a map to the Starstone, then giving them to Victor could be dangerous. Not just for her, but for everyone. No, she said, her voice shaking but firm. You can't have it. Victor's eyes narrowed, and for a moment, the warehouse was silent. Then he raised the gun higher, aiming at her head. Big mistake, he said. Before Mia could react, Eli lunged. He tackled Victor, grabbing his arm and forcing the gun upward. A loud bang echoed as the shot went wild, hitting the ceiling. Dust rained down, and Mia screamed, scrambling back. Eli and Victor wrestled on the floor, grunting and cursing. Victor was bigger, stronger, but Eli was fast, twisting out of his grip. Mia, run! Eli shouted, pinning Victor's arm. The door, go! Mia's legs felt like jelly, but she bolted toward the corner, clutching her notebook. She shoved crates aside, her hands scraping against rough wood. The door was there, just like in her drawing, rusted, dented, with a strange symbol carved into it. It looked ordinary, but something about it made her skin tingle, like it was waiting for her. Behind her, the fight grew louder. Victor roared, throwing Eli off him. Mia glanced back and saw Eli hit the ground hard, blood trickling from his lip. Victor grabbed his gun and aimed at Eli. You're done, rich boy, he snarled. Mia's heart lurched. She couldn't leave Eli. But the door was right there, and her drawing had shown it for a reason. She fumbled with the handle, her hands slippery with sweat. It was stuck. Come on, she whispered, pulling harder. The symbol on the door glowed faintly, like it was alive. Mia's breath caught. This wasn't just a door. It was something more. She opened her notebook, her hands shaking, and looked at the sketch. The door in the drawing had the same symbol, a circle with a star inside. Below it, she'd written a word she didn't remember writing. Open. Mia's eyes widened. Had she known this would happen? Was her drawing telling her what to do? Open, she said aloud, pressing her hand against the symbol. The door vibrated, and with a loud click, it swung inward, revealing a dark passageway. A cool breeze rushed out, carrying the scent of earth and something sweet, like flowers. Mia's heart pounded. This was her chance. Eli, she yelled, turning back. I got it open! Eli was on his feet, dodging Victor's punches. He glanced at her, his eyes lighting up. Go, Mia. I'm right behind you. But Victor wasn't giving up. He swung the gun toward Mia, his face twisted with rage. You're not going anywhere, he shouted. Mia froze, her body screaming to run, but her feet glued to the ground. Then, out of nowhere, Eli tackled Victor again, knocking the gun from his hand. It skidded across the floor, stopping near Mia's feet. She stared at it, her heart racing. Should she grab it? She'd never held a gun before. The thought made her sick, but so did the idea of Victor getting it back. Eli grunted as Victor punched him in the stomach. "Mia, go," he yelled, his voice strained. "I can handle him." Mia's eyes darted between the gun, the door, and Eli. She didn't want to leave him, but the passageway was her only hope. If her drawing was right, it could lead to answers, maybe even the Starstone. She took a deep breath, grabbed the gun, and ran into the passageway. The weight of the gun felt wrong in her hand, heavy and cold, but she didn't drop it. The door slammed shut behind her, muffling the sounds of the fight. The passageway was dark, lit only by faint, glowing symbols on the walls. They matched the ones in her notebook, and Mia's skin prickled. This place felt alive, like it knew she was here. She kept moving, her sneakers echoing on the stone floor. The air grew colder, and the sweet scent got stronger. Mia's mind raced. She thought Eli was a scammer, but he'd risked his life for her. He'd called himself wealthy, said he'd been hiding, protecting something her, the Starstone, or both. But why? And why did her drawings keep showing her things she didn't understand? The gun in her hand felt like a reminder of how real this was. People were willing to kill for her notebook, for her. The passageway opened into a small chamber, and Mia stopped short. The walls were covered in carving stars, circles, and figures holding glowing stones. In the center of the room was a pedestal, and on it sat a stone that looked exactly like the one in her sketch, the Starstone. It pulsed with soft golden light like a tiny sun. Mia's breath caught. It was beautiful, but it also scared her. This was what Victor wanted. This was what Eli was protecting. She stepped closer, her heart pounding. The stone's light seemed to pull her in, like it was calling her name. She reached out, her fingers trembling, but stopped short. What would happen if she touched it? Would it change everything, like Eli said? Or would it make things worse? Before she could decide, a loud bang echoed from the passageway. The door had been forced open. Mia spun around, gripping the gun. Footsteps pounded toward her, and Victor's voice cut through the silence. "You can't hide, girl. That stone is mine." Mia's blood ran cold. Where was Eli? Had Victor hurt him or worse? She backed toward the pedestal, her eyes darting around the chamber. There was no other way out. She was trapped. Victor burst into the room, his face red with anger. Blood stained his shirt, and his eyes were wild. "Give me the stone!" he roared, lunging toward her. Mia raised the gun, her hands shaking so hard she could barely hold it. "Stay back!" she shouted, her voice cracking. She didn't want to shoot, but she didn't know what else to do. Victor stopped, his eyes narrowing. "You won't shoot me," he said, taking a slow step forward. "You're just a scared little girl." Mia's heart pounded. He was right. She was scared, but she was also angry. Angry at Victor for chasing her. Angry at Eli for dragging her into this. Angry at herself for not knowing what to do. She tightened her grip on the gun, her finger on the trigger. Then, from behind Victor, Eli stumbled into the room. His face was bruised, and he was clutching his side, but he was alive. "Mia, don't!" he shouted. "The stone, it's not what you think!" Victor spun toward Eli, giving Mia a split-second chance. She didn't shoot. Instead, she grabbed the Starstone from the pedestal and bolted toward a corner of the chamber. The stone was warm in her hand, heavier than it looked, and its light pulsed faster, like it was alive. "Mia! Stop!" Eli yelled, but Victor was already charging after her. She ducked behind a carving, her breath coming in gasps. The chamber was small, with nowhere to hide for long. She looked at the stone, its glow lighting up her face. Her notebook was still in her pocket, and she remembered the door in her drawing. Maybe there was another way out, another door she hadn't seen. She pulled out the notebook and flipped to the Starstone sketch. There it was, the door, glowing faintly. But now, there was something else. A second symbol, a star with a line through it, drawn next to the pedestal. Mia's eyes darted to the real pedestal. The same symbol was carved into its base, barely visible. "Mia, give me the stone!" Victor roared, his voice closer. He was only a few feet away, his hands reaching for her. Mia dropped to her knees and pressed the symbol on the pedestal. It glowed, and a low rumble shook the chamber. A hidden panel in the wall slid open, revealing another passageway. Mia's heart leapt. Her drawings were right again. She scrambled toward the panel, the starstone clutched in one hand, the gun in the other. Eli was fighting Victor again, trying to hold him back. "Go, Mia!" Eli shouted. "I'll find you!" Mia hesitated, her eyes locked on Eli. She didn't want to leave him, but Victor was too strong. If she stayed, they'd both be caught. With a sob, she dove into the passageway. The panel slammed shut behind her, cutting off Victor's angry yells. The new passageway was narrow, the walls rough and uneven. Mia ran, the starstone's light guiding her. Her mind was a mess. Eli was alive, but for how long? And what was the starstone? Eli had said it wasn't what she thought, but what did that mean? Was it dangerous? Was it even real? The passageway sloped upward, and Mia's legs burned as she climbed. The air grew warmer, and the sweet, flowery scent was back. She didn't know where she was going, but her drawings had led her this far. She had to trust them. The passageway ended at a heavy wooden door, carved with the same star symbol. Mia pushed it open and stumbled into a forest clearing. Moonlight filtered through the trees, and a soft breeze rustled the leaves. She was outside, somewhere far from the warehouse. The starstone's light dimmed, like it was calming down. Mia sank to her knees, gasping for air. She was safe for now. But Eli was still back there, fighting Victor. And the starstone was in her hand, its secrets heavier than ever. She opened her notebook, her hands shaking, and looked at the sketch again. The door was there, but now there was a new detail, a figure standing in the clearing, holding the stone. It looked like her. Mia's heart raced. Was this her future? Was she meant to keep the starstone, to protect it? Or was it a warning? She didn't know, but she couldn't stay here. Victor would find her, and Eli needed her help. She stood, tucking the starstone into her pocket. The gun felt heavy in her other hand, and she set it down, hiding it under a bush. She didn't want to carry it anymore. Her notebook and the starstone were enough. As she started walking, a rustling came from the trees. Mia froze, her heart in her throat. Was it Victor? Had he found her already? She backed away, ready to run, when a figure stepped into the clearing. It wasn't Victor. It was a woman, tall and elegant, with silver hair and eyes that seemed to glow in the moonlight. "Mia," the woman said, her voice soft but commanding, "you've done well, but the starstone isn't safe with you yet." Mia's mouth went dry. "Who are you?" she whispered. The woman smiled, but it wasn't warm. "Someone who's been waiting for you," she said, "and I'm here to take what's mine." Before Mia could move, the woman raised her hand, and a strange light flared from her fingers. Mia's vision blurred, and the world tilted. The last thing she saw was the woman's glowing eyes and the starstone slipping from her hand. Mia's head throbbed as she woke, the world spinning like a carousel. She was lying on a soft bed in a room she didn't recognize. The walls were lined with bookshelves, and a chandelier sparkled above, casting golden light across a polished wooden floor. Her notebook lay open on a table nearby, but the starstone was gone. Panic surged through her. Where was she? And who was that woman with the glowing eyes? She sat up, her body aching from the chase, the fight, and whatever had knocked her out. Her jacket was folded neatly on a chair, and her sneakers were by the door. Everything felt too calm, too perfect, like a trap. She thought back to the forest, clearing the woman's voice, the strange light. Had she taken the starstone? And where was Eli? Was he still fighting Victor? Or had something worse happened? Mia swung her legs off the bed and grabbed her notebook, flipping through it. The sketch of the starstone was still there, but the door and the figure in the clearing were gone, like they'd been erased. Her heart sank. Her drawings had guided her this far, but now they were changing, hiding things from her. She clutched the notebook to her chest, her only piece of home in this strange place. The door creaked open, and the silver-haired woman stepped in. She wore a long, flowing dress that shimmered like starlight, and her eyes still had that eerie glow. Mia backed away, her heart racing. "Who are you?" she demanded, her voice shaky. "Where's the Starstone, and where's Eli?" The woman raised a hand, her smile calm but unsettling. "Easy, Mia. My name is Serafina. You're safe here. As for the Starstone, it's secure for now. And Eli..." Her smile faded. "He's alive. But he's in trouble." Mia's stomach twisted. "Trouble? What kind? Where is he?" Serafina gestured to a chair. "Sit, and I'll explain. You deserve the truth. But it's not simple." Mia hesitated, her instincts screaming to run. But she had no idea where she was, and Serafina had the Starstone. She sat, gripping her notebook like a shield. "Okay," she said. "But no more secrets. Tell me everything." Serafina nodded and sat across from her, folding her hands. "Very well. Let's start with Eli. He's not just a wealthy man, Mia. He's a guardian, one of a secret group, sworn to protect the Starstone. It's not a myth or a magic rock, it's a source of knowledge, a key to truths that could change the world. Eli's been hiding it for years, living in disguise to keep it from people like Victor and his boss." Mia's mind spun. She'd thought Eli was a scammer, then a millionaire in disguise. But a guardian? It sounded like something from her sketches, not real life. "Why hide?" she asked. "If he's so rich, why live like that?" Serafina's eyes darkened. "Because the Starstone is dangerous in the wrong hands. Victor's Boshi's name is Dorian wants to control people, to bend the world to his will. Eli gave up everything to stop him. His wealth, his name, his safety. He's been running ever since." Mia's heart ached. Eli had risked so much for her, for the Starstone. She remembered his kind eyes, the way he'd fought Victor to protect her. "And me?" she whispered. "Why am I part of this?" Serafina leaned forward, her gaze intense. "Your drawings, Mia, they're not just art. The Starstone speaks through you. When you were a child, it chose you, planting visions in your mind. That's why you drew Eli before you met him. That's why you drew the Starstone, the door, the symbols. You're its guide, the only one who can find it when it's hidden." Mia's breath caught. Her drawings, her messy, colorful sketches were part of something ancient. It was too much to believe, but it explained everything. The man with kind eyes in her notebook, the glowing stone, the doors that appeared when she needed them. She wasn't just a barista. She was special. "But why take the Starstone from me?" Mia asked, her voice rising. "If I'm its guide, shouldn't I have it?" Serafina's smile returned, but it was cold. "Because you're not ready, Mia. The Starstone's power is too great for you now. I've protected it for centuries, and I'll keep it safe until you're strong enough." Mia's skin prickled. "Centuries? What are you?" Serafina stood, her dress shimmering. "I'm a guardian, like Eli, but older. I've watched over the Starstone since before you were born. I brought you here to keep you safe, and to keep the stone out of Dorian's hands." Mia's mind raced. Serafina seemed kind, but something about her felt wrong. Why hadn't she helped Eli? And why take the Starstone without asking? Mia's eyes flicked to the door. She needed to find Eli to make sure he was okay, and she needed the Starstone back. "Where's Eli?" she asked again, standing. "Take me to him." Serafina sighed. "He's in a holding cell downstairs. Victor captured him after you escaped. Dorian's men are coming for him, and for you. We don't have much time." Mia's heart pounded. "Then let's go get him. We can't leave him." Serafina shook her head. "It's not that simple. Dorian's men are already here. If we free Eli, we risk losing the Starstone. You must choose Miathe Stone, or Eli." Mia's chest tightened. Choose? How could she? Eli had saved her life, believed in her when she didn't believe in herself. But the Starstone was her connection to her drawings, to the truth about who she was. She couldn't let Dorian have it. There has to be another way, she said, her voice trembling. I'm not choosing. Serafina's eyes narrowed, but before she could speak, a loud boom shook the room. The chandelier swayed, and books fell from the shelves. Mia stumbled, catching herself on the table. What was that? She gasped. Serafina's face paled. Dorian, he's here. Footsteps thundered outside, and shouts echoed through the walls. Mia's heart raced. She didn't trust Serafina completely, but she couldn't stay here. She grabbed her jacket and bolted for the door. I'm finding Eli, she said, her voice firm. You can help me or not. Serafina grabbed her arm, her grip strong. You're making a mistake, Mia. The Starstone is more important than one man. Mia yanked free. Not to me. She ran into the hallway, her notebook tucked under her arm. The house was huge, with twisting corridors and locked doors. Shouts and crashes grew louder, and Mia's heart pounded. She didn't know where Eli was, but she had to try. Her drawings had led her this far. Maybe they could help again. She ducked into a shadowy alcove and opened her notebook. Her hands shook as she flipped to a blank page. Come on, she whispered. Show me something. She closed her eyes, letting her pencil move. When she opened them, she'd drawn a rough sketch of the house, with a room marked by a star. Eli was there. She knew it. Mia ran, following the map. The house shook again, and dust fell from the ceiling. She turned a corner and found a heavy door with a keypad. Her drawing showed a code. 317. She punched it in, and the door clicked open. Inside was a small, cold room with concrete walls. Eli sat on the floor, his hands tied, his face bruised and bloody. He looked up, his eyes widening. Mia? He croaked. How did you? No time, she said, rushing to untie him. Dorian's here. We have to go. Eli struggled to his feet, wincing. The Starstone, where is it? Serafina has it, Mia said, helping him stand. She says she's a guardian, like you, but I don't trust her. Eli's face darkened. Serafina? She's complicated. We need to get the stone back, Mia. If Dorian gets it, everything we've fought for is over. They stumbled into the hallway, Eli leaning on her. The house was in chaos. Now men in black suits ran through the corridors, shouting orders. Mia's heart raced. Her drawing had led her to Eli, but it didn't show a way out. She flipped through her notebook, desperate for another clue. A new sketch caught her eye, a room with a glowing circle on the floor and the Starstone in the center. Serafina stood beside it, her hands raised. Mia's stomach dropped. She's doing something with the stone, she whispered. We have to stop her. Eli nodded, his jaw tight. Lead the way. They moved as fast as Eli's injuries allowed, following Mia's sketch. The house shook again, and a wall collapsed nearby, sending dust and debris flying. Mia coughed, her eyes stinging, but she kept going. The map led them to a grand hall with a marble floor and a high ceiling. In the center was the glowing circle from her drawing, and Serafina stood inside it, the Starstone in her hands. Its light was blinding now, pulsing like a heartbeat. Serafina, stop! Eli shouted, his voice hoarse. She turned, her eyes glowing brighter than ever. You're too late, she said. The Starstone is mine. I've waited centuries for this. Mia's heart sank. You said you were protecting it, she yelled. You lied. Serafina's smile was cold. I protect what matters, Mia. The Starstone's power is too great for you, or Eli, or Dorian. Only I can wield it. Before Mia could respond, the doors burst open, and Victor stormed in with a group of men. Dorian was with Thema, tall man with sharp features and eyes like ice. Enough games, Serafina, he said, his voice smooth but deadly. Give me the stone. Serafina laughed, raising the Starstone. You'll have to take it. The room erupted into chaos. Dorian's men charged, and Serafina's hands glowed, sending waves of light that knocked them back. Eli pulled Mia behind a pillar, his face grim. We can't let either of them have it, he said. Mia, your drawing scan, they show us what to do. Mia's hands shook as she opened her notebook. She didn't know if it would work, but she had to try. She closed her eyes, her pencil moving frantically. When she looked, she'd drawn the starstone shattering into pieces, its light fading. Her heart stopped. Was that the answer? Destroy the stone? Eli, she whispered, showing him the sketch. What if we break it? His eyes widened. It's risky. The stone's power could destroy us all. But if we don't, Dorian or Serafina will use it to hurt people. Mia nodded, her resolve hardening. She thought Eli was a scammer, but he was a millionaire in disguise who'd given up everything for her and the Starstone. She wasn't just a barista anymore. She was the guide, and this was her moment. They crept toward the circle, dodging blasts of light and flying debris. Serafina was fighting Dorian's men, her power shaking the hall. Victor spotted them and charged, but Eli tackled him, giving Mia a chance to reach the circle. Mia stood before Serafina, her heart pounding. Give me the stone, she said, her voice steady. It's not yours. Serafina laughed, but her eyes flickered with doubt. You can't handle it, child. Mia didn't back down. She held up her notebook, showing the sketch of the shattered stone. My drawings say otherwise. Serafina's face paled. For a moment, she hesitated. Then Dorian lunged, grabbing for the stone. Mia saw her chance. She dove forward, snatching the starstone from Serafina's hands. Its light burned her skin, but she held on. Mia now, Eli shouted, pinning Victor. Mia raised the stone above her head and slammed it onto the marble floor. It shattered with a deafening crack, and a wave of light exploded outward, knocking everyone back. Mia hit the ground, her ears ringing. The light faded, and the hall was silent. She sat up, her body aching. The starstone was gone, its pieces scattered like dust. Serafina was on her knees, her glow gone, her face blank with shock. Dorian roared in anger, but his men were retreating. Their mission had failed. Victor lay unconscious, and Eli staggered to his feet, bloodied but alive. Mia, he said, limping toward her, you did it. She shook her head, tears in her eyes. Did I? It's gone, Eli. What if I made a mistake? He knelt beside her, his kind eyes steady. You saved us. The Starstone's power was too dangerous. You trusted your drawings, and you were right. Mia looked at her notebook, its pages crumpled but intact. Her drawings had led her here, to this moment. She wasn't sure what came next, but for the first time, she felt strong. She wasn't just a dreamer. She was a guardian, like Eli. Serafina stood, her voice weak. You've changed everything, Mia. I hope you're ready for what comes next. Before Mia could ask what she meant, Serafina vanished in a flash of light. Dorian and his men were gone too, leaving only silence. Mia and Eli were alone in the ruined hall. What now? Mia asked, her voice small. Eli smiled, brushing dirt from her cheek. Now, we start over. You're not just a barista, Mia. You're extraordinary, and I'll be with you, every step. Mia's heart warmed. She'd thought he was a scammer, but he was so much more. A millionaire, a guardian, a friend. She looked at her notebook, a new sketch forming in her mind. Not of stones or doors, but of a gallery, her art on the walls, Eli by her side. As they walked out of the hall, the first light of dawn broke through the windows. Mia didn't know what the future held, but she was ready to draw it, one page at a time.